Andy Stanley has been in the news lately because of his confusing views on the LGTV conversation. Now, it breaks my heart whenever we talk about this topic because once upon a time, I was an admirer of Andy Stanley. I've read some of his books. I thought he had some good stuff to say. And then he kind of started getting more sloppy with some of the things that were coming out of his ideologies and the things that were spewing out. And this all kind of culminated to some things that were said privately that came out publicly, and then some old clips that resurfaced, and now him allegedly hosting a LGTV affirming conference at his church. And later on, we will look at something that Dr. Michael Brown shared regarding Andy Stanley and their relationship. So be sure to watch till the end of the video. So here is this being reported. This is Christian Headlines, and there's a couple different articles here. It says Andy Stanley's church to host LGTV affirming conference. It says an upcoming conference hosted by Andy Stanley for ministry leaders. I think Andy Stanley thought this was going to be below the radar. Like, that's what I think he thought this was going to be, because it was for ministry leaders, this wasn't going to get people's attention, you know? Ministry leaders and parents of LGTV children is being called a clear and tragic departure from biblical Christianity. If this is what it seems like it is, then I would say that assessment is true. Okay? And again, we're going to look at a Michael Brown clip a little later by a prominent evangelical leader who says the lineup of speakers reveals the event's theological position. And we're going to get into those speakers too. Stanley's North Point Church in Alpharetta, Georgia is hosting the Unconditional Conference, a 2-day event, September 28th, 29th, for parents of LGTB plus children and for ministry leaders looking to discover ways to support parents and children in their churches. You'll be equipped, refreshed, and inspired as you hear from leading communicators on topics that speak to your heart and mind and soul. The website says, we deeply desire this time will bring about healing and restoration no matter what theological stances you hold. We invite you to listen, reflect, and learn as we approach this topic from the quieter middle space. But Albert Mohler, president of Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, says advertising for the conference indicates clearly that this event is designed as a platform for normalizing the LGTB revolution while claiming that the conference represents the quieter middle space. Mohler critiqued the conference in a New World Opinions columns. Now, here is where I would absolutely agree. Based on the lineup here, there's not a single person that's from the community that is side B, meaning people who will identify as same-sex attracted, but say they are side B. They are not going to practice the lifestyle. They're going to be celibate. There's not a single person like a Preston Sprinkles who holds to what we would call a Christian sex ethic. No one on this lineup is like that. These are all full-on affirming people. The whole lineup. If this is the full lineup, the whole lineup is completely out the window on this. That you might as well be having a we all deconverted from Christianity or we've all deconstructed Christianity conference. All right. David Gushy, a professor of Christian ethics at Mercer University who supports same-sex marriage and has argued for LGTB inclusion within the church, saying Christianity has been historically wrong on the issue. Gushy will deliver a breakout session titled Wrestling with Theology Pointing Towards Jesus. Justin Lee, the executive director of Nuance Ministry, this is when nuance gets weaponized or empathy gets weaponized, right, against stuff like this, in a Christian voice for LGTV affirmation. According to his website, Al Mohler came with the receipts. His breakout session is titled What is Happening to My Faith, who is also LGTV. Brian Netzel, a LGTV man who co-founded Ronovis, an organization that helps LGTB individuals rediscover Jesus. According to his website, Nitzo is leading a breakout session titled LGTB plus Faith Stories, Hope for and Insights About Your Kids. Greg and Lynn McDonald, the authors of the book Embracing the Journey, A Christian's Parent's Blueprint for Loving Your LGTB Child, and co-founders of the ministry Embracing the Journey. Their breakout session is titled Embracing Your Journey, Moving Through Faith to Surviving and Thriving. Embracing the Journey is sponsoring the Unconditional Conference. Among the books recommended on the Embracing the Journey website is Gushy's Changing Our Mind, in which he explains how he transitioned from a traditional orthodox understanding of LGBT issues to an affirming one. Another book the website recommends is God and the GAY Christian, the Biblical Case in Support of Same-Sex Relationships. Holy moly. The speaker is married to another man. Yeah, I mean, yes, they might as well add Brandon Robertson to this lineup. All right. So, yeah, this whole situation is sad. So let's see what Dr. Michael Brown had to say about this.
Look, if you were a heretic, you'd own it. It's the fact that you want people.
So this is him talking to Andy Stanley.
People understand you hold to the fundamentals of the faith. You're an Orthodox believer. You hold to the authority of Scripture. You know,
I may regret saying this, but like 2 years ago, I preached a Christmas series, and somehow people decided, not in our church, but people who were looking for something to say decided I didn't believe in the virgin birth. So there's all this stuff going on. I didn't believe in the virgin birth.
I asked you. I contacted you privately. Yeah.
I said, you know what? If I quit believing in the virgin birth, do you think I would tell anybody?
Well, so is he kind of foreshadowing? If I believe something that's outside of the lines of orthodoxy, will I tell anybody? And then you refuse to tell anyone if you are affirming now.
That's a career-ending move. So, it's just all kind of silly. But
got it. All right, listen.
One, have you heard of the recent controversy surrounding Andy Stanley and his seeming drift on the issue of homosexuality? And then the second question is...
All right, so first, Andy Stanley, we have interacted very intensively on this. I have gone back and forth with him with endless texts and emails. He made himself fully accessible to me 8 years ago when I wrote an article with some open questions for him. And he jokingly said, "Why didn't you send it to me first?" Like, I didn't know you were that accessible. He gave me his phone number and email. So we've been in regular contact. But for 8 years, literally since 2015, he has not been willing to give me a simple answer on would you agree that according to the Bible, practice is always sinful, and no matter how loving, same-sex relationships are not blessed in his sight. For 8 years, including me pressing him every way I knew how to press him recently, he has refused to answer that question. And I've told him, I just got to believe all the bad reports then. All the bad stuff I'm hearing, I got to believe it's true.
Sheesh, man. Heresy hunters take another W. I tell you what, they were right again. Gosh darn it, man. Gosh darn it. You know when Dr. Michael Brown is like, yeah, I just got to believe all the bad things people are saying about you because you're not being clear. Oh, gosh, man. I wish it wasn't true, but unfortunately it appears to be. It appears to be. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Hopefully he repents and changes his mind on this. But if Dr. Michael Brown is saying that, he's not with it, I don't really know what else to make of it, which is unfortunate, which is really unfortunate. We see according to the Bible that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. One, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask him to move on my behalf. And two, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when he answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used from my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. And here's the thing, with the hope to create a prayer movement, we've made the PDF version of this prayer journal completely free. So to get the PDF of our prayer journal completely for free, go to blessgodpdf.shop